Greetings, I hope you're good and well. I'm doing a book review today for Woom. Now, don't quote me on this, but I think it was published around 2010. The book is marketed as kind of extreme horror, although I would class it as gross horror, or I'd put it in the shock genre, if that is a real genre. It's like gross shock literature. This book seems to be very popular online. There are many reviews for it online, and the book cover will probably be very familiar to you. If you're into horror, if you're into fiction, you've probably seen this book online somewhere. It gets a lot of hype from what I can see. The main premise of the story is that there's a man in a hotel room, or a motel room, as they say in America. The motel is, I think it's in New York, might be somewhere else. And this man is alone, and he phones up this escort agency, and he orders like a BBW prostitute. For those of you who are not familiar with the porn industry, BBW stands for Big Beautiful Woman. So he basically orders a big fat prostitute to come and join him in this motel room. And when she arrives, instead of having sex with her, he asks her to kind of have a chat with him and exchange stories. And some of these stories that they talk about include being a drug mule. One of the stories is like a nightmare story about meeting a gangster and being talked into becoming a drug mule and getting on a plane to Mexico or something, swallowing loads of packages or pellets, and then becoming bloated and shitting them out in the toilet, which is like a gross story. And there's another story about a coat hanger abortion. This one actually has a deep meaning in the story. I won't ruin it, I won't do any spoilers. There's like a gross story about a coat hanger abortion with a woman sitting on a toilet, and apparently that happens in the same motel. There's another story about like a man with a fetish who hires a prostitute, and he's into like women sitting on his face, and he's designed this wooden box for women to sit on the box so he can look up and look at their arse or whatever. There's that story. I vaguely remember a story about a mannequin where a man asks a prostitute to dress up like a mannequin because he's got a mannequin fetish. I think originating from his childhood, where he used to have imaginary sex with mannequins or something like that. And I vaguely remember another story about a porn set. They're making a porn film, and it's like a gangbang scene, and the woman puts like a sachet of ketchup or fake blood in her vagina first, and the man has sex with her, and it explodes, and it's like a prank on this man. He thinks he's injured her or something. So basically, as you can tell, the main themes of the book are about gross shock value, right? This book is not horror, in my opinion. It's about shock. It's like a grotesque themed book, yeah? And it's about sitting in a motel, a man and a woman, and they exchange these gross, horrific stories, okay? Now, the stories do link well, I'll say that. The stories link together, and that adds credibility to the book. There are a couple of moments in the book where I sat there and thought, wow, you know, this is quite shocking, and it's quite impressive in certain scenes. And it's fairly well written. I won't say it's well written, I'll say it's fairly well written. It's competent. The prose is not mind-blowing, but it's competent. And the book doesn't take itself too seriously. Now, you might see that as a good thing or a bad thing. It doesn't take itself too seriously, so the writing is not high-end. It's not high-end material by any means, But on the other hand, sometimes if a book takes itself too seriously, it can work against it. It comes across as a bit too pretentious. So that this book isn't pretentious. I think it kind of works in the book's favour. Negatives, in my opinion, it didn't quite hit the spot. It felt tense. There's a feeling of tenseness that goes through the book. And it is quite shocking, but I wouldn't describe it as scary. I got grossed out a little bit. I got a bit grossed out, but I wasn't scared. The book certainly isn't going to give me nightmares anytime soon. So, you know, it's not scary, and there are certain scenes that are quite unbelievable, a bit far-fetched, a bit unrealistic. And there's certain dialogue that I read, and I just thought, would that really take place in real life? So that kind of works against the book. And generally speaking, it doesn't live up to the hype that this book has online. This book seems to be very popular online, and there seems to be a lot of people who have praise for it. And going into the book, my expectations were raised because of that, and I just feel as though the book didn't quite live up to its expectations, or didn't live up to its hype, in my opinion. Thank you for making it to the halfway point of this video. This is just a quick message to let you know that I have my own range of books that are available, mainly science fiction and horror, and some of them are free. If you enjoy my videos and my work, you could help me a lot by checking out my books and leaving reviews for them on Amazon and Goodreads. It would help way more than you think, believe me. You could actually support my work without spending any money at all. A review for one of my free books would easily suffice. The links for my books are below. Thank you. Now back to the video. If you're a fan of horror and you want to get truly creeped out, I wouldn't read this book. It's not for you. If, on the other hand, you're into weird books and you just want to read something outrageous and very gross, then I do recommend reading it. As I say, there are loads of reviews for this book on Goodreads, and I think maybe on Amazon, so the book has obviously had a big impact on a lot of people, but I wouldn't describe it as high quality, okay? And it's certainly not going to give me nightmares. I personally gave the book 3 stars on Goodreads, so it didn't blow me away. But if you're into weird, if you're into bizarro, I think there's a genre called bizarro. If you're into that kind of stuff, you might enjoy this, okay? But that basically sums up my review of this book. If you fancy giving it a read, go ahead. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you in 2 weeks' time with another book review. In the meantime, try to have a good day on this horrific, bizarre, mortifying piece of rock we call Earth. Lots of love. Goodbye.